In this vid, I'll be reviewing MMOregion's version of Samurott for Alligator. He also throws in a 3/3 line of Beartic, a new card from the Emerging Power set, as well as another new card from Emerging Powers. So let's take a closer look. The starter in this deck is Mantine. Group Swim allows you to search your deck for a water Pokemon and put it into your hand. I think a better starter for this deck, and a more consistent starter, would be Manaphy, that allows you to shuffle your hand in and draw 5. You have 2 main attackers, Samurott and Beartic. I'm assuming that Samurott is the ability Samurott, which has Hydro Pump for 70 and 10 more for every water energy that's attached. Big thing about Samurott is its ability that reduces any damage done to it by 20. The other big attacker in your deck is Beartic. It's a stage 1 Pokemon with 130 HP, and its first attack for 1 water and 2 colorless does 50. The big deal about this card is that the effect of that first attack means that the defending Pokemon cannot attack during its next turn. That forces your opponent to switch its active Pokemon with something on the bench. That must mean that it has a free retreat, it has to pay the retreat energy cost, or it has a switch in hand. That can be very difficult for a lot of decks, especially decks that run Donphan, and that can provide a lot of disruption. You run a 2/2/2 Gator Prime to add on the water energy as fast as possible. With Beartic needing 3 and Samurott needing 3, I think for Alligator Prime is an excellent addition to this deck. You also run 2/2 Zoroark. Foul Play allows you to choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks and copy it. Being that you already run DCE, this is an excellent tech to throw in because you just never know what you might come up against. Other than swapping out your Mantines for Manaphys, you might also want to consider throwing in a Tyrogue so that you could possibly get the donk off your opponent. Of course, putting in a baby Pokemon also means that you're running the risk of getting donked yourself. Looking at your energy line, it looks very solid. You run 4 DCE, and those DCE can be utilized by both Beartic, Samurott, and Zoroark, so it's great that you have them maxed out. You also run 12 water energy and 2 rainbow energy. I don't really know why you want the 2 rainbow energy. It's very rare that you use Zoroark's nasty plot to search for a card, and putting on that 10 damage could really hurt you. So I would recommend that you take out the 2 rainbow and possibly reduce the water energy as well. Currently, you have 18 energy in this deck, and I think that can be greatly reduced down to 14 or so. While you have a near-perfect line of Pokemon and energy, I think your trainers and supporters could use a bit of work. Currently, you don't have anything to search for basic Pokemon, so I would throw in a combination of 3 Pokemon Collector and Dual Ball. The only recovery cards you play are Energy Retrieval and Fisherman. You shouldn't be discarding that much energy, and you really need some recovery cards in here that can get your Pokemon back. So I would recommend dropping the Fisherman and putting in a Flower Shop Lady instead. I really don't think you need the Energy Retrieval either, but that depends on how you play. I would also recommend that you throw in 1 Twins in case you're behind on prizes and you need a little bit of help to get back in the game. You don't have any hand refresher cards in this deck, so I would recommend throwing in a combination of Professor Juniper and Professor Oak's New Theory. I would recommend throwing in 1 Juniper and 3 to 4 Oak's New Theory. I would stay away from Copycat and Judge because that could potentially leave your hand size very low and unrecoverable. You run 2 Interviewers to help search out those energy. Since you're running so many energy, and even if you do decide to reduce that number down to 14, I think Interviewers is an okay card because for Alligator Prime you can immediately attach all the energy, and that way if you end up shuffling your hand in next turn, you're still going to be able to pull something, hopefully that's not just another energy card. You also run 2 Elm. Typically, I'm not a fan of this card, but with more Vileplume decks coming out, I think Elm can be a great supporter for searching out those evolutions. You have 2 Stage 2 lines for Alligator and Samurott, so I would recommend throwing in 1 to 2 Rare Candy to hopefully build those up a lot faster. You also run 2 Communication. I think you could easily increase that number to 3. With Dual Ball and Collector, you can swap them out with Communication for the evolution cards that you need in case you don't have access to an Elm. You run 2 plus power. I'd go ahead and keep that number to 2 and might even consider dropping it down to 1. There's going to be very few situations where you're going to absolutely need that 1 extra hit, especially in a deck like this. If you come up against Reshiram, of being a fire type, any of your water types can handle it, and for a Zekrom, typically they're going to be doing damage to themselves when they attack, which means that you won't need the plus power on Zoroark. Another problem I see is that you don't run any junk arm. I would recommend at least 2 to 3 for this deck so that you can reuse your communications, the plus powers, and the big thing, your Pokemon catchers. Obviously, this Pokemon Catcher is another card from Emerging Powers, so I don't have a copy of the card to show you. But it runs exactly like Reversal, but without the coin flip, meaning that you can drag up anything you want and attack. So Junk Arm is going to be huge for reusing those catchers and not always having to rely on drawing them in the deck. In order to make room for all these changes, I would recommend dropping or greatly reducing your line of Seekers. You don't run any Switch, which is a card I would definitely recommend putting at least one of in here, so your chances of retreating to the bench, Seekering up your Pokemon, and being able to replay it are very slim. Overall, I think this is a great deck. Beartic and Pokemon Catcher have been played up for quite a while, and I'm really interested to see how well they're going to work when they actually hit tournament play. So thank you very much for submitting the deck, and if you'd like your deck to be submitted, just PM me your list and let me know how you'd like me to do it. It'll take about 2 weeks to do a video review, but about 2 days to do a blog review, so just let me know. Thank you for watching.